Good. Okay, so we're back on with Etay Maor from RSA Security, their research labs over in Israel. And Etay, thank you for coming on the program this morning. We're talking about a Trojan called Zeus. This one is the latest variant, is affecting the banking community. All right, and on our prior call with Etay, we had a connection to the Cinewall Trojan. What we're going to get into now is how this Trojan proliferated so far, and what are some of the implications for the financial institutions that are being targeted. Why don't you take that on, Etay?
Okay, well, first of all, it's interesting to look at the infection rate of this Trojan. As I said before, it infected over 210,000 computers. Majority of those, by the way, were in the U.S. About 42% of its infections were in the U.S., following by Spain, Italy, Canada, and India, which with much smaller numbers. The infections mostly took place, the big numbers took place in September 2010 and February 2011. We're talking about over 60 and over 70,000 infections every month. So these are infection campaigns. It's a very typical graph of an infection campaign where you see very high peaks, and then a couple of months after that it gets quiet, and then again the gang behind this Trojan create another infection campaign, and then it slows back down. I want to point out that although there's a lot of banking websites as part of its triggers, it is not affecting only banks. This, as part of its triggers, we've seen the fact that it looks for information about your email, about gaming. There's a whole lot of information it steals. After it steals all that information, it actually divides it into two tables in the background. One is information that it stole, and another one is information that it stole and filtered. So it actually goes through a list of over 150 filters. After it stole all the information, it starts filtering based on 150 pre-specified keywords, and creates a short list for the administrators to look at. Another interesting fact about this Trojan is that it has several techniques being used in the background. An example would be the fact that it uses VNC, the virtual network connection, and the SOC5, the proxy, for a man-in-the-middle attack. It actually uses real-time Jabber notifications to get information on when the victim is up and actually is using the computer, and then it logs in using VNC connection. So it has some very cool, if I may say so, features when you analyze it.
Well, you mentioned a couple of things here, Etay, which, piqued my interest right off the top. The first one is these keywords, infection rate, and then technique. So let me dig in a little bit deeper on both of those. How does the infection rates for this Zeus variant compare to some of the other variants that you've seen come out?
Okay, well, there are two aspects of this. First of all, the numbers are much, much, much higher. It's like I said, over 200,000. So the numbers are very high, and the fact that they came in two very distinct months. So one month had over 75,000 infections, the other one had over 60,000 infections per month. This points that there's an infection campaign going on, as opposed to somebody who doesn't really know how to work an infection campaign, doesn't know really how to do it, and hires somebody else to infect for him. And then what you would typically see is you'll see several infections today, several infections the day after that. You won't really see this kind of roller coaster ride of a peak and then a real slowdown and then another peak and a big slowdown.
All right, so you've taken this from past studies and you've set up a baseline, and this one is definitely peaking over the baseline. Is the other unique aspect of this the fact that these infections are coming in at 75,000 and 60,000 per month? Is this also unique to the banking industry more so than others? not exclusive to the banking industry, but have you actually seen penetration and hard penetration into the financial services area?
Well, first of all, let's. When I said the banking industry, it's targeting it as part of the trigger. So it steals information from users, regardless of where they are when they access their banking account. If they use the infected computer, when they access the banking account, then the information will be stolen. But again, not only the banking account information is something that it's looking for. It looks for several other things, including emails, credit cards, private information, like I said before, information about their gaming habits if they have any, and so on. On top of that, the infected, the people who got infected by this are not necessarily just home users. It can be people within some corporation, and you have to keep in mind that, as I said, it filters the information, but it saves also non-filtered information. So say you have been infected by this variant and you're within your corporate network, you took your laptop home, you got infected, then you got back to your corporate network and started using this computer, the Trojan will steal information, even if it's not something it really is looking for. It's something that it would filter out. Other information is still being stolen and being put into a separate table on the database. So it's kind of, you can say it's compromised information.
Okay, Etay, that's about all we have for this segment. We'll be back and follow up on some of the impact on our third segment after this message from our friends over at FEMA. We'll be right back.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.